What's going on, guys? Frost here, and I'm back with another guide. A lot of you have asked me how do you gank, and when is it smart to gank a lane, or when is it better to farm. So in this video I'll be teaching you how. Do remember that every single game is different and learning to gank comes from trial and error, but these are general guidelines. There are a few steps to go through to know if a gank can be done and how well it will go. Step number 1. The position of the lane. There are 3 positions a lane can be in: at their turret, at your turret, or the lane is even in the middle. Ganks are the best when the lane is at your turret, because this will mean that your opponent has to walk through the entire lane to get back to safety of their own turret. And they will probably have to burn a summoner to get away from the gank, which will make the gank a success. When the lane is neutral in the middle, ganks become a little bit more difficult. In bot and top you can just make a choice to do a lane gank and tell your laner to push the wave to their side so you can reset it. This is really solid gank, but you have to take note that this gank takes a while to set up if your laner doesn't have instant wave clear, so be careful, because you might just be wasting a lot of time with this. As far as mid lane goes, when the wave is neutral, just don't gank, because it's unless your mid laner has a lot of CC, because mid lane is a very short lane, and 95% of the time this will result in the enemy just casually strolling back to their turret and your time will be wasted. Step number 2. Summoner spells. This step is pretty straightforward, and all you have to know is which summoners are up and which are on cooldown. If a laner doesn't have flash and he is pushing into your turret, the chances of a gank resulting in a free kill will pretty much be increased by 100%. Even if the lane is neutral and your opponent doesn't have their flash up, the chances of getting the kill will increase a lot. Step number 3. How strong is the champion you are trying to gank, and how many escapes does that champion have? Then step number 4. How strong is the champion you are ganking for, and how much CC does that champion have? Step number 5. How strong are you yourself, and what is your amount of CC? Step number 3, 4 and 5 are pretty simple and one quick step, but it's important to keep them separate. There are only a couple things you have to know for this step. If the enemy laner is stronger than your laner, then you as a jungler have to be able to make up for the power difference before you try and gank the lane. Because if you can't do this, the gank will most likely end up in a 2v1 where the person getting ganked will still be able to get either one kill or kills both of you. If the enemy laner has an escape like Aurelia Dash or Katarina's Shampoo, you need an ally that has hard CC. This can either be you as a jungler or the person you're trying to gank for. If this isn't the case, ganking this lane isn't worth it. And if the champion you're ganking has hard CC, then the question is, can you play around the CC in some way, or do you have to make sure you land your hard CC first so you can kill him before he can react? Hard CCs are either stunts or knockups. Step number 6. Where is the vision and where do you think the vision will be? This step will determine the path you are going to use when you want to gank. This step doesn't really matter for it to be possible to gank, because it's always possible to gank a lane. The reason for this is that there's never perfect vision and there will always be a blind spot to actually get around the wards. The only problem is not every single champion will be able to get around near perfect vision. But in solo queue this isn't something you really have to worry about, because it takes an insane team investment to ward everything, as you can only place so many wards per person. Of all these steps, there are 2 most important, and if these steps are massively in your favor, there's not a single gank you can't do that will actually go wrong. And these are step number 1 and step number 5. The reason for this is if the lane is shoved all the way through your turret and you're strong enough to pretty much one-shot the laner, then there is no way a gank will fail. Do remember that even burning a flash will be a successful gank, but then you'll have to keep in mind to come back to that lane and gank again when their flash is on cooldown, to make your previous gank even more worth it. The rest of this video will be me explaining how certain ganks work. Pay close attention to this if you want to know possible ganks for each lane. This will be quite a long section, but there wasn't really a way for me to shorten this down, since I would feel like I would have left something out, and that wouldn't have been good for you guys. Alright guys, now I'm gonna do this in practice. This is a bot game though, so obviously this will not be real players, but as you can see right now, good lanes to gank are top lane, all the way shoved into your turret, pretty good. Mid lane, all the way shoved into turret, good gank at this stage. And bot lane is pushing, so this is a bad gank at this stage. But now, I'm just gonna talk to you about how you want to gank lanes. Let's say they're pushed up like this, on top lane. What you want to do is, right here, like, if they're pushed up like this, the ward will most likely be in this spot. Like, right there. Most top laners ward this brush when they are gonna push. So if there is gonna be a ward, when they are up here, the ward will most likely be in there. So there are 2 things you can do. You can either walk around like here. Walk around. Just go this way. Follow this path. Go here, go around. and then go to that brush and then gank like this. So you come this way. It's a long way around, and it will dodge the ward. And this will pretty much be a good gank on anyone with a stun. Even anyone with a snare. It's just not that great of a gank when you don't have a CC, because let's say you're against an Aurelia. The top laner is an Aurelia. If you come from this way, she can just dash onto you with her Q and potentially stun you if you're higher health than her, which most likely will be the case because you're not going to gank on low health. So in that case, you will need something like Echo, for example. You can just pre-place it somewhere here and just stand in it. And when Aurelia then Q dashes to you, she will get stunned in your sphere. That's how you want to look at it. Like, for example, if top lane was pushing and it was positioned about here, the minion wave, then most likely they will have warded this as top laner from their side. They will have warded this. So what you do then is you just walk into the lane, walk into this brush. You have to be careful with looking at this, because as you can see right now, the lane's positioned right here. The vision we have over the lane is here. So if you did this, mainly walking to these brushes comes with like a feel for it, but around this position, this brush is to get safely into, because as you can see, there's no vision of it now. The Fog of War covers it, so you can sneak into this brush. And then all you have to do is just, like, this lane is gonna shove. If you're gonna stand right there, you can just wait for it a little bit, and then make sure to tell your top laner to push the wave out a bit, or just to reset. Like, if you're gonna gank from this side right now, and you're standing in there, without, like, you've not been spotted because the Fog of War doesn't see you, you're standing right there. The wave is right here. Now, if you're having top laner, for example, your top laner is Lissandra. Lissandra's great wave clear. What you can do then is just tell your top laner, if this wave wasn't already pushing, you tell your top laner to completely shove the wave into the turret for the lane to reset, and then the lane will reset right in the middle, right here. If you do this, like, this wave is pushing right now, but if you do this, it will reset and you're standing in a brush without the other top laner knowing. Pretty much meaning that you will be able to get a free gank off. Like, if you're, for example, Rengar, you can just stand in this brush with 5 ferocity. You see me do this quite a lot in my videos, but you can stand in this brush, AFK, you can stand in this brush for a bit, and then you can just wait here with 5 ferocity, and as soon as the wave hits here, and the enemy top laner starts to farm there, like the wave here, you can just jump on him with E, and the kill is pretty much guaranteed, because there is no way he can run away from you that way. Especially not when he's snared for such a while. Alright, so that's lane ganking top lane, and this is just knowing the vision. Like, if the wave is going to be pushing a vision, it's probably going to be there, and if wave is pushed in, a vision is probably going to be there, or they don't have vision at all, also an option. But you can easily tell if you walk into the lane and someone just nudges backward, you know, like real slide, but he nudges backward, then you know this is warded, and you just go on your way. Alright, that's as far as top lane goes. Now for mid lane, the wave is neutral in the middle right now, which makes, if you have a Swain, this would make for a good gank, because, especially Swain against Sivir, because if he can snare it and you can just walk this way around, like for blue side, you can just walk this way around. This is a really good gank on mid lane. If you're gonna do one, walk around, go here, and just loop around this way. When a wave is like here, or the wave is like here, you can just go through this brush. But this is probably the best gank you can do for mid lane, through this angle. And of course on the other side it's gonna be through this angle. So you can just loop around back to them, and then just go on them here. If the wave is pushed like it's now, mid lane is an impossible gank. It's not gonna work. Like, there's nothing you can do. You can dive the turret, but this turret is too close to the other turret, so you might be tanking double turret damage. So at this stage in the lane, mid lane is an ungankable lane. Don't do it. Right. So now this is a good gank when they're like here. Let's say the Swain is right here. You can either gank this way, but you can also gank this way to cut even more off. Like, if you place a ward around here when you're about to gank, and you go this way around, when he's standing right there, you just walk this way and you walk a little bit up. You make sure to walk a little up, so you can just go like this here, and go a little bit more like this, instead of just straight around the corner. Because if you go a little more door like this, people tend to walk down on you, so they just walk this way. And if you have a ward here, you can still see him, so you can just walk like this, and then walk back like this to follow them. and then your mid laner can just walk behind them here, and you could potentially flash over the wall, or if you have a dash like Echo's E, I could just E over the wall here and then just go on him, you know. But that's cutting off people's people's escape routes. If you walk like this, they either have to go past you, which on Rengar and other champions with a stun or Nunu with a slow, it's gonna not be that easy to do. Just walk past you, because they will probably have to burn a flash. And this way is like, if you little loop, people would generally walk down or walk up here. It depends on where they're closest to, but generally down. And then you can just like with a pre-warded here, you can just walk down this way, so you cut them off again. Okay, you're gonna cut them off again like here. So that's pretty much for mid lane it. Like this generally where the wards are in mid lane actually is right here in this brush. Like if they are this side, gonna be a pink ward maybe here or there, with a normal ward here or there. This could also be warded right here, but also people tend to place wards here, a pink ward usually. So check for those. And on this side as well, pink ward here. This is to cut off the jungler's gank like this. This is a really strong gank on mid lane. And this ward, pink ward right there, for example, would cut that off really well for an extended period of time. Alright, and then for the last and the bot lane, the ganks. Bot lane is a little harder to gank because they have two people in the lane and the support is ward oriented. So they have a lot more wards in their lane. Meaning that all of the ganks will be pretty tough. But if you're this side of the map, like this side here, you can, with champions with a dash like Echo's E or Lee Sin's ward jump, or I don't know, man, like anything with a dash like Shen, whatever it is, and a dash, and I can go over this wall and get into this brush is good, because usually bot lane wards this when they're this side. They'll ward this, or like here in this brush. They can also ward this, but this is a little bit more rare. Obviously bot is just really hard to gank because it's warded and you really have to know, and just ask your bot lane where the wards are, because then you can plan your ganks. But if you're going for this side and you want to gank your bot lane, like when you're on this side, you're probably gonna ward this brush. So this is pretty hard to gank from this way. So what you have to do on this side then is just for example, you're doing your grump, you can either do this, just walk this way and into the lane, when just tell your bot lane to shove, because if they were positioned here all the time, they're not gonna have a ward in this brush, and if your bot lane suddenly starts shoving, suddenly starts pushing the lane, you can just walk into this brush and it will most likely not be warded. You can also ask your bot lane to place a pink or just sweep it, which will also work fine. The support will most likely have a side stone and a sweeping lance pretty quickly. So for that reason, it's just yeah. Just make sure that your bot lane knows that this is clean, because then you can just lane gank like this and tell your bot lane to push out a little bit. And you can just stand right here and the wave will reset kind of. And if your bot lane can bait a fight, like for example with Ashe Arrow, you can just on Rengar leap out of the brush, or on Echo just place your W down on it and then dash into it, or like at the last second, so you get a guaranteed 2.25 second stun. That's pretty much as far as this lane gank goes. You can also dash over the wall from here, like this, into this brush. This is only a good thing if you know this is not warded and they're pushing. This is a rare occasion, because if they're pushing, this is generally warded. But if you can dash over this wall and get into this brush and then just leap around like this is a really good gank. Because sometimes people tend to ward here instead of there, which is a mistake, because if you can dash over the wall like this, against with Lee Sin or something, you can just ignore this ward and just walk past this, and people want to see you coming when they're pushing like here into the turret. So this is then a free gank. And for the other side of the map, like if you're this side, ganking through this way, like this way, if you see it like right here, let me show you, like you're walking this way and then up into this brush, and then want to go behind them, this is a really hard gank, because either this will most likely be warded or that will most likely be warded. Unless your bot lane pink warded this, then this is a good option, because then there is a chance this is not warded. You can also just take the risk, but you can also just quickly loop around and just tell your bot lane to engage, and you can follow up. The other gank you can do is a lane gank, obviously. Like if your bot lane is pushing, like let's say they're positioned here, the other jungler can gank from there, but you can gank just from here. You can just walk straight into this brush. If your bot lane makes sure this is like swept and this is swept, or this is pink warded, or they notice the wards, then you can just stand here and tell your bot lane to completely shove it into the turret and reset, and just wait. if you just wait there, the other bot lane will go here and just go for farm. If you're standing right there on like Rengar or Echo again, I'm just taking those champions as an example real quick because on the top of my head I can't really think of anything else. You can just quickly just jump on them and just kill them, like, or burn both of their summoners, like heal, flash, whatever it is you want to burn. Okay, also another gank you can do on this side, from this side of the map, is go this way, because let's say this is warded, let's say this is warded, potentially, and that's warded. Then you would say there's near perfect vision and it's impossible for me to gank, but there's an option. You can either walk this way, but then you have a chance of this or that being warded, where you get and you get spotted again. You can also just do this, and if you have a champion with a dash, you can dash over this wall, walk around here, or just, if you have a short dash over here or whatever, just walk around here. Be careful for the minions, because this syncs up and you can be spotted right there. You can just walk this way, and then walk, keep walking, and then if you're here, just stop, like stop right there. And then when you're ganking from this side and there's like middle here, just tell your bot to engage. And then you suddenly just walk this way and just flank them from behind. This is a really good gank and can potentially work really well. But you really have to coordinate things with your team. Alright, I think that pretty much covers all the ganks. If I missed anything, you can just leave it in the comments below and I'll look at it and I'll just tell you from what to do. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!